Oh, we're already on. Okay, well, what's up, YouTube? It's Flaherty here. Just making sure. So we'll give it a minute. Trying to see if everything's good. Pull up this. Ensuring that my live chat's working. Well, for one thing, yeah. No, you cannot join. Just making sure everything's working. Eh. And while we're doing that, I'm just gonna draw a little bit. Good. So yeah, what is up, YouTube? It's Flaherty here, and my voice is kind of going out a little bit from, I don't know why. Oh, my nose hurts. Um, eh, I haven't even done anything yet, and I'm already losing my voice. Oh, you hate when that happens. Like, you don't do anything, but then something happens. Also, my mouse is just being a douche right now for me, so I can't do good on my drawing here, apparently. Also, what I'm doing here is right now I'm just blocking everything in so I know what's going to be in front and what's going to be behind the hair. Yeah, I do that a lot. I'm weird. The first thing about being an artist, you make sure everything looks good. And during that, you block everything out. It's not going to be in the image. That's, that's, that's. Oh, it's going to be fun down here. So if you haven't noticed by the title of my video here, we are going to, sorry, making sure my mic's also working, be reviewing something I used to do when I was a kid. Sorry, just double check. I'm gonna back it up. I don't like this hair for some reason. Oh, you hate that when you do black, you back out, and then you see that you just don't like the hair. Oh my lord, my voice. What is happening to me? As I was saying though, today I will be doing like a review of some Disney movies that I don't think nowadays the kids have seen, or you probably have seen, but it's not on anymore. Um, and these movies are something that I used to always watch when I was a kid. Like, no joke. I went crazy for them. And I don't feel like kids nowadays know these movies, unlike us adults who do. So, but why I want to bring this up is because I see the movies nowadays, and they're not as good as they used to be in the days. It doesn't mean I'm old. I'm just saying movies nowadays are not as good as they used to be. Not that I say like the actors are not that good or anything. No, no, no. I meant the what's the word I'm thinking of? The stories are just, I don't know, not their best. It's like I don't know. Critic because I've never made a movie in my life. I take that back. I had to do for a project, but that doesn't count. Eh. Oh my god, I have like notifications popping up on my screen while I'm trying to do it all. Go away, computer stuff. So that's why I want to do this review. I have the list for top 20 of the Disney movies from back in the day. Not that I'm that old, but just back in the day, like um let thinking? Um, Late 90s, 2000s, really. To be more precise. Because like I said, I was born in the 90s, 1990s. Not what you thinking. I'm not old. I'm not like secretly 30 or 50 or something. No, I'm pretty young. I'm still pretty young. Well, in my mind, I still am young for now. But these are just mainly like the movies that I used to watch when I was a kid. I mean, I don't know if any of these actors still act, but I would assume they would be, to be more precise. I would hope they were, because what they did, some of these movies even inspired me a lot. Yeah, I know, surprise. Movies inspired me, even though I, in a way, sincerely don't believe that, but it's possible that they can inspire some people to do some things. Not the smartest things, but some things. But just let me finish off this little piece here on my hair. Part of the hair is gonna annoy me if I do not have it finished. I say that as I mess it up. I found out the movie for Kim Possible that I was trying to remember because for some reason it escaped my mind, and it was Kim Possible So the Drama. That's the name of the movie I was thinking of. Please let this look good. It'll do. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to try to do this the easiest way I can. Shrink this. The little box. Not rid of that little box, but it's a little box. And this will probably have different episodes. I found that maybe even 2 episodes. I don't know. Um, yeah, I really don't know because I stopped watching Disney movies 2015. No, maybe they're like 2010 or something because they were just some movies that I didn't like. Started getting to adult things like I'm getting older, and my mouse does not want to cooperate, and I don't know, just go to Disney Channel. Yep, that's right. I grew out of Disney Channel. I also have a list here. Trying to also make sure that my movies here are kind of in order. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, oops, I already made a mistake. I moved one movie that was not supposed to be over there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here. Here's my list. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 6, 8, 10. There we go. Now it's all evened out. I was wondering like what happened. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, like I was earlier. I was trying to figure out what I did wrong because for some reason I messed up my list here and it was annoying me for some reason and I don't know why, but it was. Okay, so let me just here. And these movies, I think the earliest movie that I watched, or the oldest one that I watched, started back in 1998. Um, and the last movie I saw, yeah, the one before the Descendants movie, the last movie I saw was back in '08, and Descendants movie came out in 2015. That was a big break of no movies. I think it's just because there weren't any good movies that were made. That's just me, but yeah, I'm weird. Don't judge me. Okay, so I'm just trying to show this. Okay, that's not gonna work. That's not zooming like I wanted it to. But oh well. Okay, so on my list here, the first movie that I saw, 1998. First the series, and I can't seem to get it where I wanted. Eh, oh, not what I wanted. Oh no, sec, I messed myself up. Whee, sliding on my chest. Please pardon my. It's still not bad. Okay, so if you don't know this movie, it's called Halloween Town. This movie was old, like back in 1998. Initial release was actually on October 17th of 1998. There's two other movies, and there's also a couple more, but I guess I didn't mention it. In chronological order. It was written by three people. Paul, if I butchered the name, I'm sorry. Paul Birnbaum, John Cooksey, and Ali Matheson. It's directed by Dwayne Denham. Reynolds, Judith Hoag, Joey Zimmerman, and Emily Rosick. And it was just amazing. And I think the longest time it lasts was, I think, an hour. That's 60 minutes. Like it tells me time, but I want to be like specific here. Like on my phone. Good job, me. Yeah. So that's about like an hour and 24 minutes, if I'm thinking right in my brain. He is a big fan of this movie. And the whole series, of course. But I'm also a big fan of Debbie Reynolds. She is an amazing actress. So, so anyway, this like back in the day when animating kind of wasn't, like the plot. So the plot begins with the story of this 13-year-old girl whose name is Marnie Piper, who's played by Kimberly J. Brown, and her mother, whose name is Gwen, played by Judith Hoag, are starting to argue over why she and her younger siblings, who is 12-year-old Dylan Merman and 7-year-old Sophie, played by Emmy Rosick, can never go out for Halloween. Halloween's around, and why Marnie cannot go to her costume party. Her mom offers no real clear explanation. So Gwen's mother, whose name is Aggie, who plays by the fabulous Debbie Reynolds, who is actually an expert witch, shows up to her annual Halloween visit, and the children are really happy to see Angie than Gwen is. Well, her own daughter is. But as Aggie openly encourages the children to get more involved into the spirit of Halloween. But unknown to Marnie, Aggie's real intent is to train Marnie to become a witch. Before heading home, Aggie reads the children this bedtime story that's called Halloween Town, aka the title of the movie. The Halloween Town is the best way I can explain here is a mythical place where witches, vampires, and of course monsters of all sorts live in harmony. Sophie points out a drawing of a witch that's in the book, which resembles Marnie. And Aggie does really nothing to stop Marnie from imagining such a thing happening to her. Gwen and Aggie then get into this big argument. Gwen keeps insisting Marnie will be raised as a normal person and not as a witch like her mother Aggie is. While Aggie says she disagrees, but actually she is there for a different reason. See, the other reason is people have started to suddenly mysteriously disappear in her hometown. And Gwen thinks that they just moved, but Aggie says it's not really that simple. Aggie desperately keeps asking for Gwen's help, but Gwen sadly declines. Hears this argument while hiding, I guess, on the stairs. He tries to return home. Marnie and Dylan decide to follow her and, see where she's from. Maggie get into this yellow magical bus. It looked like a normal bus to me, but it's a magical bus apparently. And decide to sneak onto it, even though Dylan disagrees this is a bad idea, but they decide to sneak onto it back door, which is always easy for some reason for people to sneak in. And at the same time, realize that Sophie to the bus, well, without them noticing. Oh, what was I at? Well, Aggie does not really see Marnie and Dylan also getting off the bus, and so the children actually lose sight of their own grandmother. They discovered that Sophie had followed them. Now, they begin to try to look for Aggie and are approached by this wizard named Calabar, who's played by Roman Thomas. I can't speak right, sorry. Calabar is the mayor of this town. He whistles for a cab, which is actually driven by Benny, who's played by the voice of Rhino Romano, who is actually a skeleton with a very, very bad sense of humor. And then actually find their grandmother's house, and of course, against her better judgment, Aggie decides not to take them home like she should. She says she will start Marnie's witch training, but has to take care of the bad thing first. Her grandchildren, what she's actually talking about, within her cauldron, of course. And a vision of a hooded demon appears. Wait. Sorry. She said she must activate Merlin's talisman, one potion to defeat this demon. But it's something. So the family is actually introduced to this boy named Luke, who's played by Philip Van Dyke. Is it Vic Van Dyke? Possibly. Who's actually a goblin who was made handsome by this shadow demon. He makes a pretty clumsy pass at Marnie, down really on the spot. I wouldn't blame her. Gwen then arrives in the Halloween town with plans of trying to bring her children back home and is pretty mad at Aggie for thinking that she took them, much to Marnie's objections of wanting to leave. Anna finds another bus back to the mortal world and decides to see if the mayor can do anything to help. Shocked to see that the mayor is Calabar, who, in surprise, is a friend of hers. Calabar briefly leaves to handle a semi-other problem. So Gwen and her children see Aggie walking somewhere with Luke. He might be in trouble. They decided to follow Aggie and Luke to this abandoned movie theater, which had a pretty freaky vibe to me. And meets the hooded demon in this theater, where Halloween Town citizens have actually been frozen in time. Literally. Aggie declines to give over Merlin's talisman to the demon, and are also entering the theater as Luke rushes out in complete fear for this to happen. The demon freezes Gwen and Aggie. We're able to escape and obtain the necessary agreements, which are the hair of a werewolf and the vampire's fang, to make this talisman regain its power. They must install the talisman in this large jack-o'-lantern, which is in the center of the town. When they arrive to install it, the demon suddenly appears and reveals himself to actually be, spoiler, Calabar. He starts talking to the townspeople and is trying to persuade them to join him and a way to take over the mortal world, and let them have their reward and be feared by everyone in the mortal world. With the help of Luke, Marnie was able to slip past Calabar just long enough to climb up onto the jack-o'-lantern and try to place the talisman inside. Sadly, Calabar noticed her and freezes her. As she's about to pass out, Marnie drops the talisman inside the jack-o'-lantern, which surprisingly causes it to illuminate and frees herself and everyone trapped inside the theater, as well as severely weaken Calabar. Gwen, Aggie, and the children confront Calabar and are able to use their combined powers, much to Dylan's surprise. The film ends with the family getting on the bus and blasting off to the mortal world. And that's the end of that movie. So, like I said, there's Kimberly J. Brown as Marnie, Debbie Reynolds as the splendid Splendora Agatha Aggie Cromwell, Judith Hoag as Gwen Cromwell Piper. There's Joey Zimmerman as Dylan Piper, and Lee Roski as Sophie Piper, Robin Thomas as Calabar, who's the main antagonist, like I said, at the film. Then Reno Romano as Benny, and then Judith M. Ford as Harriet, who is also an important other character. Let's think, what else? There are more sequels. There's 3 sequels. Halloween Town 2, which is Calabar's Revenge, and then lastly, Return to Halloween Town. What else? So that's the end of that. So let me just do this real fast. Find this other one. Guys, I wanted to show you about the casting characters. So in the film, her is played by Kimberly J. Brown through the first 3 movies, Halloween Town 2, and Halloween Town High. Later on, the last movie, Return to Halloween Town, is played by somebody else. I won't tell you who, but someone else also plays her. Aggie Cromwell, Debbie Reynolds majority plays her throughout the whole show. Movies. I think one time with another actress who also played Marnie in the last one. Gwen Piper and Dylan Piper are all played by the same character. They're all the same person. Sophie Piper is mainly seen in the first 3 movies, and she's only mentioned in the 3rd movie. Sally he's played by 2 different people. Is Reno Romano. But in the second one, I'll tell you he's played by somebody else, and he's not mentioned in the last 2. By the same person in the first 2 movies, but is never mentioned again in the last 2. Neither is Benny. And Calabar, played by Robin Thomas, is only mentioned in the first movie. He's not seen again. Harriet, same thing, first movie. Then there's going to be a lot of other characters. And I'll follow into the next movies. So, I'm now going to do Halloween Town. We're going to follow this order here. Because I really don't want to spoil it, because I'm trying to follow the order of my list here. But I will mention Halloween Town 2, because it'll be later on. But we're going to have to move on to the next one. The next movie I want to mention is, again, this movie is old, but it was good for me. The series was good for me. So the next movie on our list, number 2, is Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, which was released back in January 23rd, 1999. So, like, we're moving up a year here. And it stars, I think, Kristen Storms, who's the famous heroine. And I think the movie was directed by Kenneth Johnson. And the film, I think, was based upon a book called Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, which was written by Marilyn Sadler and Roger Bolin. It was actually supposed to be conceived originally as a plot for a potential television series. And also, I think, first under the Disney Channel original movie banner to produce a sequel, which was Xenon the Sequel, which is going to be soon, we'll talk about. And the third and final installment was also produced, Xenon Z3. So there's only 3 movies, sadly. So let's think. Like I said, it was made by, and also another person who's starring in this movie is Raven Simone. Yep, Raven Simone. I don't know how old she would be in this movie. She's pretty young, a kid. Let me think. This one's 97 minutes long, so pretty much a few minutes, like another 10 or so minutes longer than the Halloween Town movie. But again, it was pretty good. Let's think. Okay, so how do I say this? I'll give you a synopsis of this. And then we'll get into the cast. So, the synopsis of the story is the year, which is not this year, but the year is 2049, and Xenon Carr, a girl who lives with her family on Earth, well, on an Earth orbiting space station, really. And after getting into some trouble with the space station's commander, Edward Plank, Edward Plank is played, does not tell me, but okay. Right? Doesn't tell me? No, it doesn't tell me. Edward Plank, who is Xenon. Xenon's parents punish her by sending her to Earth to live with her Aunt Judy on Earth. Okay, it doesn't also tell me who plays her, too. I won't be surprised. On Earth, Xenon experiences really fitting in with the other kids who consider her name, space station stories, and the slang to be pretty weird. Likewise, Xenon considers the children at her school woefully out of touch with pop culture. So, being homesick, Xenon often communicates with her best friend on the space station, Nebula Wade. Nebula Wade is played by Raymond Simone. Wait, I'm sorry, I found whoever Plank was. Is Stuart Pankin. And Aunt Judy is Holly. I'm already losing my voice. Good. Good job, me. So, anyway, but she contacts Nebula Wade via a video phone tablet, and eventually Xenon makes friends on Earth with two boys. Andrew, played by Brendan Richard Jefferson, and Greg, who's played by Gregory Smith, with whom she develops a surprisingly relationship with. The way the kids start to learn to be more accepting of one another and to look past first impressions, which I think is the whole moral, the point of the story is you need to be, nowadays, you need to learn to be accepting towards differences between one another, and to look really past the first impressions, because impressions are everything, but there's more to that. So during her time on Earth, Xenon uncovers a plot masterminded by station bigwig Parker Windham. Is played by Frederick Coffin. The computer virus in order to crash the space station. So when Xenon tries to warn her parents of danger, Commander Plank, as troublemakers, convinces Xenon's parents not to listen to her. Plank believes that her story is only just a ploy to get back onto the space station to attend this upcoming concert by her idol, Protozoa, played. Protozoa is played by Philip Rise. The rock group Microbe, which is David Meyer. Wait, I'm sorry. Don't tell me who. So anyway, but Andrew and Greg join in to help Xenon find a way to save the people on the space station. Andrew creates this, but Xenon must get Andrew's disk to the station. Launch yard, hoping to sneak in rocket to the space station. Protozoa, who's about to depart from the concert, recognizes Xenon from a Dance with Protozoa contest and has her and Aunt Judy join him on the launch to the station. Upon arrival, Commander Plank is shocked to see Xenon, but lets her stay with him when he becomes pretty smitten with Aunt Judy. won't believe Xenon's theory, though, especially when Windman accuses her of trying to sabotage the station. Xenon manages to load Andrew's antivirus program onto the station's computers in time. Windham, with his assistant Lutz, who's played by Bob Bancroft, while everyone else enjoys the microbe concert. So, like I said, so here is the cast list, but that was a big synopsis of the story. I don't know how long my voice can handle this. So, like I said, Kristen Storms plays Xenon Carr, Raymond Simone as Nebula Wade, Commander Edward Plank, Holly Fulger as Aunt Judy Kling, Frederick Hoffman as Parker Windham, Mark Lutz, and then there's other people like Xenon's family. There's Greg Thurway, who plays as Mark Carr. I'm assuming that's a brother. Like I said, Philip Reyes is Protozoa / Microbe. Gwyneth Walsh is Astrid Carr, so I guess the sister to Xenon. Maltbay as Margie Hammond. Danielle Frazier as Lynx. And Richard Jefferson as Andrew. Blair Slater as Aqualate. Polsky as Matt. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, though. Neil Dennis as Leo. Gregory Smith as Greg. Kia Wong as Gemma Meyer as the astronomy professor at Northwestern University as Protozoa's groupie. This movie was pretty good for me. It hurts now. But I have to say that the movie was good. The next movie we're going to do, number 3, I may only just do 10 because my throat's really starting to hurt. So, hold on, let me just do this part. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to bookmark these. The last 10 here. Yes, I'm just going to bookmark these so I can make it for the next episode because I feel like I'm just being rambling for too long. My throat's really going to get dry and hurt. It happens. Okay, so now all these are bookmarked, the last 5. Now we're on to number 3, which is the movie called The 13th Year. And this was a 1999 comedy drama on Disney Channel original movie. When it was released in 1999, and it was also directed by Dwayne Dunham, who had directed other children and Disney movies like The Little Giants and Halloween Town, which he's most known for. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14 cast members. We'll get into that later, though. This plot's a pretty long plot, but it's important to follow. Is this adopted male teenager. His birth mother is surprised because this is just a Disney Channel movie, is actually a mermaid on Griffin's boat when he was a baby in order to avoid being captured. As she left, she was spotted by Mr. Wheatley, who was a fisherman obsessed with finding mermaids. Cody establishes himself as a quick swimmer in the town he lives in and has a girlfriend named Sam. Under a lot of pressure from a big swim meet coming up. And because he's failing biology, he's partnered with Jess Wheatley, who is the class geek, a marine biology expert. And so after Cody's 13th birthday, he starts to begin to feel pretty strange. So as he wakes up in the morning, he turns off his alarm clock and surprisingly zaps it. Drinks from a milk container, which he notices is stuck to his hand. He later also drinks large, copious amounts of water. He goes to Jess for help, who agrees to figure out what's actually going on with him, as long as Cody teaches him to swim in return. Jess runs various tests, learning Cody can generate electricity, climb walls, kind of like Spider-Man, talk to fish. I think he talks to fish. I can't remember. Swim extremely fast, and when sometimes wet, scales appear on his hands and arms. That Cody is turning into a merman. So despite all the odd things happening to him, as well as the objection of his adopted parents when they found out, Cody decides to attend the swim meet anyway. He's and beats Sean, but breaks the state record, the state speed record, with his scales appearing. Sean sees the scales and surmises that Cody cheated, following him into the locker room. Cody avoids him by sticking to the ceiling, but Sean says he saw something and will find out what. Cody safely makes it out of the stadium and goes home with his parents after they find out he wasn't in his room. However, the scales are lasting longer now instead of short amounts of time. Cody tries calming his parents down by claiming nobody saw him change, but Jess shows up and tells him that he saw everything and that the people are talking about Cody. Sam arrives and faints at the sight of Cody's scales. When she comes to, she's pretty freaked out. Cody tells her he's still actually the same guy and doesn't need to be afraid. While sworn to secrecy for Cody's safety, Sam is disturbed by the discovery and leaves. The next morning, Cody takes a swim and meets his mermaid mother. However, Jess's father, who is the obsessed fisherman, the reunion. Later that day, Cody meets Sam at the beach, and she apologizes and they share a cute little kiss. Cody then walks to the water with her, saying that there's something he wanted to show her, and Cody's mother appears, with Sam complimenting her beauty. However, Cody suddenly gasps in pain and stumbles back to the shore. Writhing on the ground, he tells Sam to get his parents, and after she leaves, into flippers. Thinking that Sam came back, Cody is surprised when someone throws a blanket over him. Jess comes down to where Cody is, but just finds him gone. He then sees his father's boat and panics because his father had seen Cody's fins at the swim meet earlier. Jess's father is planning on using Cody to lure his mother in order to prove he's not crazy. Jess comes on board the boat, and Cody asks him for help. Despite trying to warn the mermaid away, Cody and Jess are unable to stop a fishing net from trapping her. Cody asks Jess to help his mother be free. So he takes a knife and jumps into the water to cut the net. He frees the mermaid, but his leg gets caught in the net, pulling him under. Jess passes out, but Cody jumps in and brings him back to the dock where Jess's father and Cody's parents and Sam are. Sam performs CPR but is unsuccessful. Cody decides to zap Jess's heart, which successfully makes Jess come to. Jess then wonders if Cody's girlfriend was kissing him. Cody's mermaid mother shows up again. She discovers her son is still alive and watches him and his family from afar. She wants him to go with her because she's the only one who can help him with his changes. Cody's adopted mother doesn't want him to leave, but the mermaid telepathy is to send Cody back before school starts. After some goodbyes, Jess asks Cody to tell him and his dad about the aquatic life he sees and promise not to betray her by falling for mermaid girls. Cody dives into the water and completes his mermaid transformation with his mother's help, of course. He swims back up and leaps to the surface and waves goodbye to his friends and adopted parents. Cody and his mother then swim off into the life below the surface. I think we're only going to do a couple more because my throat is really starting to hurt. Okay? It's kind of a shortish video, but here's a reason. I've never had to talk this much before. Like I said, there'll be more episodes coming in. I just deleted the other one I didn't need to delete. Good job, me. Hold on, let me do this way. Copy this. and do this. Wait, 4. Never mind. We have a list fully done. Okay. So we only have 2 more to go. So this movie is called, the next one, number 4, is called Smart House, and this was made in 1999. And it's about a teenage computer whiz who's played by Ryan Merriman, father and his little sister who win a computerized house, and that begins to start to take on a life of its own, which is the life of an overbearing mother played by Katie Sagal. Anyway, so this was written by William R. Hudson and Stu Krieger. LeVar Burton. Have a relation to Tim Burton, I wonder? I don't know. But like I said, it stars Katie Sagal, Ryan Merriman, Katie Volding, Kevin Kilner, Jessica Steen. Runtime is about 82 minutes. I don't remember what the other one I just talked about was. Short cast, but we'll get into that later probably. Anyway, but the plot's pretty simple here. So a 13-year-old Ben Cooper, they are really struggling to balance household chores, school, and work in Monroe County, New York. Ben is the house family caretaker, and it's a role inherited from his mother, who had died during an ice skating accident. Taking care of everyone now, he has no time to be a kid. He doesn't even have much time for basketball, which is his favorite sport, of course. So when Ben sees that a smart house is being given away, he enters the competition as often as he can, which is named Pat, and is introduced to its creator, Sarah Burns. Ben, his single father Nick, and his little sister Angie move into the house. His father and Sarah begin to date. So Ben begins to, which becomes pretty dangerous due to Pat's learning capabilities. He wants to lighten Pat up and make her a substitute mother. Ben and Angie have a party while Nick and Sarah are on a date. Ben wins over his crush, and Pat gets rid of his bully for good. Nick starts to arrive home before they can clean up. Pat helps them cover up the party so they won't get punished, but Nick finds the sweater of a girl who was at the party and figures it out anyway. Personality begins to radically change, bearing traits more those of an over-controlling mother than her. Eventually, Pat traps the family in the house, believing that the outside world is too dangerous. Sarah manages to make contact with Ben, and he agrees to help her get in. Although she manages to get in through the newspaper chute, the Cooper family. As they protest Pat's lockdown, she appears as a hologram resembling a 1950s housewife. Ben is able to end the lockdown by telling Pat that she isn't real and will never be human. She locks the doors and windows, freeing them, and shuts herself down. Sarah is then able to help reboot Pat and restore her original personality. Pat retains some mischievousness, as she is shown to have added chocolate chips to the breakfast waffles. Sarah and Nick start dating, and Nick spends more time with his family. Sarah, after realizing she was sorry, mom came to the house. She was never trying to replace his mother. Ben starts being a regular kid again, going out for basketball, with Pat, of course, helping him practice, and hanging out with his friends again. I really liked that. It was a really good movie. It was really touching also. Like, not all step family members can be evil. Anyway, but finally, the last movie I want to talk about is the movie called Don't Look Under the Bed. I don't know if anybody remembers this movie, but I do. And it was written by Mark Edward Edens and directed by Kenneth Johnson. Members Eric Ty Hodges II, Robert Riker, Steve Valentine, Jake Saxon Stefan Tobolsky, I guess. I can't say the name. It's 92 minutes long, and it was originally released in October the 9th, 1999. And it was a good movie. Spooky, but it was good. Anyway, so Frances McCausland is an intelligent and level-headed girl and is starting high school a year early. Strange things have been going on in her own town of Middleburg. Dogs appearing on people's roofs, alarm clocks going off hours early, a teacher's car, gelatin in the school swimming pool, and bees spray painted all over town. The bees also appear on the school lockers, except for Frances, which has the bee on the inside. Point to Frances, who does not understand what is happening or why. An older boy named Larry Houdini, aka played by Eric Ty Hodges II, Frances, telling her that he is an imaginary friend, who, as children are the only other people who can see him. Larry tells Frances she's being framed by the boogeyman. Frances has a difficult time believing this because she has tried to look at the world like an adult, using only logic and facts to explain everything, since her little brother Darwin almost died from leukemia a few years ago. Causes a blackout, foreshadowed by the bees he spray painted. However, the McCausland home is unaffected, with all its Christmas lights remaining on. Loses her friendship with her best friend Joanne makes a fool out of herself trying to convince others that Larry exists, and causes her family to question her sanity. At her wit's end, Frances checks out the boogie book from the library for Larry, who decides to build a tetrafuse detailed in the book, which will age the boogeyman into a harmless little geezer. And Larry was Darwin's imaginary friend, who still cares about him. But Frances convinced Darwin to grow up and stop believing in him. Larry also cooks up a boogeyman goo to use as bait and finds it delicious, which scares Frances. She looks for boogeyman origins in the book, learning that a boogeyman is created when the creator of an imaginary getting too soon. Having accidentally stepped in boogie goo, Darwin attracts the boogeyman and gets kidnapped while sitting in Frances's room. We follow him to the boogie world dimension, which exists underneath Frances's bed. He turns into the boogeyman due to Darwin's lack of belief in him. The boogeyman drags Darwin towards a cliff. However, Frances convinces Darwin to believe in Larry once again, reverting him to normal. Refuse on the boogeyman, Frances realizes it's her old imaginary friend Zoe. Frances stopped believing in her when Darwin fell ill, deciding it was time to grow up. Frances proves she still cares about Zoe, holding her hand and causing her to revert to normal. Frances and Darwin return to the real world, where her parents reveal the same antics that occurred in Middleburg are occurring in another city. Larry reveals that the guy in his head just ordered him to go take care of the other boogeymen. Zoe offers to assist as she was rather inexperienced as a boogeyman and was thus easy to fight. Frances is distraught as well, as it was not easy for her to believe in them again. Before Larry and Zoe leave, Larry kisses Frances as a way of showing her that her childhood was great, but so is adulthood if she keeps a sense of wonder. He then turns on the Christmas lights outside, allowing him and Zoe to leave. That night, Darwin is scared and is sent to Frances by Larry. She allows him to sleep with her, and Larry and Zoe watch with smiles. Kind of weird, but it was cute. Well, to me it was. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Let me know in the comments below, because there will be an episode 2 if you guys want me to, do another episode. Anyway, your girl Flair here is out. My voice is about to really go out. For some reason, it's that kind of month. Anyway, your girl Flair here is out. Bye-bye.